everyone. Welcome to FreeThinkers Fireside, where we put the human and humanist one cozy chat at a time. My name is Helen, also known as Hell's Bells. So welcome, everybody. I need some help. Okay, so I'm just putting this out there because I know a lot of smart people. Okay, so I just joined the Creator Accountability Network, and at the end of our podcast, we're supposed to have like a bumper to like, if for people to contact can. All right. The thing is though, is that like I will have to make that, and I'm lazy. So I'm hoping one of you who love me and know how to do graphic stuff will help me. So if you want to help me, just slide into my DMs or shoot me an email. See over there. And I will pay you. I'm not asking this for free. I will pay you for your time and labor. Or I will lease I will buy you pizza from DoorDash, one or the other. Like I will. So anyway, so if you could do that for me, that'd be great. Other than that, we're gonna say hello to my wonderful friend Rob Palmer, who I know from recovering from religion. So hi, Rob.
How are ya?
Good. How are you? I'm so happy.
Thanks for having me back.
I missed you. We used to hang out every week, and like now it's few and far between, and it makes me sad. So I'm so glad you're here.
I miss you too.
Yeah, me and Rob have known each other for 4.5 years.
Yeah, close to 5, I think. Yeah. So pretty close to when the pandemic started, whenever that was. Seems like so long ago now.
I know I joined recovering from religion in October of 2020. So it was like at the beginning of we were in the thick.
Yeah, so. I forgot if you or Cara were first. Yeah, I joined maybe a few months before that, I think. And then I was already so up to speed that I trained you guys.
Yeah, that's right. You did. That's so funny. That's how real relationships are formed, people through trauma. Because the world was on and the world's on fire again. So we're just gonna bond. It'll be great. It'll be trauma bonding, everybody.
So that was my silver lining from the pandemic. It's like I got involved in things that I had not been involved in before.
Doing work with the ACA and RFR were like definitely saving graces during the pandemic. So and I wouldn't be here if I didn't have all you wonderful people in my life. So thank you. You're one of the first wonderful people. And then because Anthony Magnabosco did my entrance interview for our
Me too.
So yeah. So, that's funny.
Did you recognize his voice instantly?
Oh, no. I didn't find out who he was till afterwards because somehow, because when I joined the Slack, somebody said, "Who did your interview?" And I said, "Anthony." And they said, "Oh, that's so cool." And I go, "I don't know who that is." And they're like, "Oh, this person." And then I was like, "Oh, see." And then I was
the opposite. I had watched probably hundreds of hours. When I first heard about street epistemology, I got really into it, and I think I checked out a few other people, and I loved his more than anyone else. So I watched a lot of his in a row. And then when I joined, so you get an email, at least is the way they used to do it, that, just first name. Anthony will contact you on so-and-so date that you originally agreed to. Just Anthony. I don't know. And as soon as he started talking, I recognized his voice because I had heard so many hours of him talking. Mm-hmm. And of course, I started to fanboy, "Oh my God, you're Anthony Magnabosco." And he goes, something like, "Oh, everyone's doing this now. I can't talk about anything. I have 50 people to interview in 10 hours, something like that, It's like, I can't answer any questions about street epistemology. Let's just get to it." So, that was weird.
He was like, I didn't know who he was, so I was just like, "Oh, that's just a dude." He is just a dude, but
and in the interview, of course, he's asking questions. So I feel like I'm on the end of the street epistemology thing.
What's
your background? What do you believe?
What's your background? That's great.
Yeah, people who don't know Anthony Magnabosco you got to look at Anthony Magnabosco's stuff. It is amazing.
He's one, like when I was like, this is when I first joined RFR, but I was listening to a lot of street epistemology because I was doing like the support started doing the support groups and stuff, which was, gave me something to like use, and the way that I was speaking to people because I was watching the street epistemology stuff along the time I was doing my RFR training.
Right. Yeah, that certainly helps.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. I used it once in person on Jehovah's Witnesses who came to my door. So Jehovah's Witnesses came to my door twice. Well, they may have come before, when I wasn't home, but 2 times I was able to be there and answer. The first time was before RFR, and I was very rude, and that's how my wife put it because she was listening from the other room, and 2 minutes they were gone. Then once I was trained by RFR, and I was really reasonably, I won't say an expert, but reasonably knowledgeable about street epistemology. I did it on them. And I kept them. It had to be for 45 minutes because they kept trying to. Oh, well, I didn't know about that. And they had a digital Bible, so let me look at that. Oh, yeah, it does say that. There must be a reason for that. And it's like I kept asking questions that they had no reasonable comeback for. And at the end, they said something like, "Oh, this has been a fascinating conversation. We've never had this before. We're going to definitely come back." And no, they're not.
They're not coming back.
I talked to volunteers from Recovering from Religion who are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and no, you went on a do not knock list.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much. Yeah. I have a no soliciting sign by my front door. Which also includes religious messages. It basically says, like, if you come over to my house and you start giving me a sales pitch or you start talking about religion, you start owing me $50 for every minute you talk.
I wanted to keep them occupied, frankly, because I actually saw them park and go to the neighbor. I think it was across the street first, and I figured they're just going to. I live in a cul-de-sac. They're going to do every house in this cul-de-sac, and as long as I can keep them here, that's less time they have to convert someone else to their cult. So that was my tactic.
Clever.
Yeah, it's the last time I was wrong by sending them right away because I gave them more time to talk to other people into it. Having learned the details from fellow volunteers, it's such a freaking destructive cult.
It is like from what Sherry told us about being JW and Sasha and other ones other people in our community that have been. It is a wild ride. Like I was just like, this is just insane because it's like Catholics have regimens and things like that, but like if we we left and nobody cared, nobody came knocking on our door, nobody tried to destroy our life, nobody said you can't hang out with your friends and family anymore.
I don't think anybody in the official church even noticed that I just stopped going.
Nobody noticed. I'm still on the church record though.
Yeah, I guess I am too. I never
like
thought
unlike Mormons where you should get removed, like they don't care.
Yeah, apparently not. I actually had that conversation in RFR Hangout the other day with Mormons, and they wanted to be removed, so the Mormon Church cannot claim this many numbers of people, and they want to do that. Okay, maybe I should do that for the Catholic Church. Is there any official time? Like, what do they assume a life expectancy is? Is my grandfather still on their rolls, who would have been 150 at this point?
Right?
When do they take people, or do they not take people off? And that's why they have inflated numbers. I don't know.
I guess so.
I don't know.
I would think. I don't know. It's such a bizarre sort of.
Yeah. Like all of my cousins, I've told this story in public before, all of my cousins and aunts and uncles converted to fundamentalist Christianity from Catholicism. Only my immediate family did not, and we were the black sheep. But like they were all Catholic. The day, that was, I want to say 25-ish people. I'm sure they didn't all write the church and say, take me off the rolls. So they're probably still all on them.
No, like I was, my mom, like, she's still part of the church and so am I. Like I don't think anybody's keeping track, honestly, because how is that your coffers aren't as full. That's how you know.
Yeah, and the other thing, not to hammer Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'm going to, what I've learned from talking.
No, you can. It's fine. It's a kink for you, Rob. Go ahead.
Who've left this? It's like, okay, the Catholic Church gets the bad rap for pedophilia amongst the priests, and that's awful. But from what I understand now, having watched documentaries on the subject, on a per capita basis, Jehovah's Witnesses have to be, order of magnitude worse. If you're Jehovah's Witnesses, you're more likely to have your child assaulted by one of their elders. That's their term, because of the way they do things. Like, you have to have an insular trial, and have to be 3 witnesses. Otherwise, the trial, it's going to get dismissed. You do not go to secular authorities, no matter what, to report anything. And the parents don't want to leave, because if they still believe the doctrine, and you just pissed at the elder and you leave, now you believe you're going to be damned, or they don't believe in being damned, but you're not going to get to go to heaven when the end times comes. So that's a big incentive for them. No, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and stay here. Yeah,
that's it was funny. I was listening to, I can't remember the name of his channel right now, but he was talking about he infiltrated Jehovah's Witness conference. He grew up as an evangelical Christian. And then he decided because he likes learning about all the different religions and their ceremonies and stuff like that. So he just went, and he said, like, I'm just exploring, and he said, like, as soon as I said, like, when we're talking about, like, what we do for work, and, talking about the weather or whatever, like normal people, as soon as they found out I was curious, it was like a personality switch. Like they became very warm, very friendly, very, like, love bomby a little bit. As he put it. And he was like, it's like somebody took over their brain. And but he also said, like, that they're very boring. That, like, their whole religion is boring. Like, it's very uninspired. He said, because he said, like, at least in evangelical cultures, like, one, you could question, and two, like, we were lively and engaging, and we wanted to have those conversations where, you were doubting, and stuff like that. He goes, you wanted it because, he goes, was it always good? No, but you could ask. And also, too, like, anything you do and like anything that is not glorifying Jehovah is bad. Like, you have to
you have to spend so much of your life doing that at the exclusion of everything else, and that's another really bad aspect of it. Some people go against the rules, but mostly people follow the rules, and they don't worry about getting an education for them or their kids, because, hey, the trumpet's going to blow any day. Why should we waste our time in college? And then you're on the bottom of the barrel regarding the job market, and when you leave, you have a harder time making a living. It's bad.
Well, I mean, like, if I was Jehovah's Witness, I shouldn't even gone to college.
Right.
Because I'm a woman.
Well, yeah, that's of course, that's a whole other thing. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's most religion anyway. That's most religion, is that baby maker.
Yeah. All of my evangelical cousins. There's a thing called the Quiverful movement. That's have as many babies for Jesus as you can.
That is.
Yep.
Over, like, eating, like it's more important to pop out those crotch goblins than is. More important to pop them out, the crotch goblins, than take care of the kids you have first, or yourselves first, that you're able to take care of yourselves, and then you can have a child.
So you
doesn't always work out that way. No, but you also know your limits.
Never mind not taking care of them. You want to hear an irony here? One of my cousins went to prison, New York State, for abusing all of his 7-ish kids, 7, 8, I forgot, I lost track.
Jesus Christ.
And he was, evangelical, always preaching, spare the rod, spoil the child. I'm right with Jesus. I know how to raise my kids. And then we find out this happens. Somehow it came to light all at one time, and he got sentenced to prison. Yeah.
Weird. That happens.
Yeah. The really disturbing part afterwards was when he was released from prison. He got to go to one of our mutual uncle's funerals, and I'm glad he wasn't there when I was there. We actually grew up together as almost like brothers. So this was shocking when this was revealed.
Wow.
So he came and he left early before I got there. And the thing is, the rest of the family is evangelical, and they're, I was told afterwards because I didn't see him, they're slapping him on the back and glad handing him, and you're right with Jesus. You're going to heaven. And I and my wife, who's not even Christian, are going to hell because we're not in the right religion. So,
yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. It's very weird. I've never understood that. I told you, like, all my thing is like murder, having sex before marriage. Same. Make it make sense.
Even
makes sense.
Using the Lord's name in vain. Yeah.
Oh, because we blaspheme all the time too. That's another problem.
Yeah. All right, maybe that's enough about religion.
Sin. It's the greatest sin. That's why we have to stop talking about.
We should talk about
skepticism. Yeah, sorry, we went on the religion route, everybody. Now we're going to talk about skepticism. So we didn't get to it. I usually ask this question first. Hey, Rob, who are you and what do you do?
What do I do? So I'm a retired aerospace engineer. I used to.
While you introduce you, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
While you introduce yourself, I'm going to get
You're going to take a break. Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to talk long enough. I am a retired aerospace engineer. I used to design spacecraft, Earth satellites, and experiments also for the space shuttle. Despite what flat earthers and space deniers say, that's not real and that doesn't happen. I did that for 16-ish years. And then the second part of my career was working for other engineering projects having to do with the Defense Department. That's all I can say about that. When I retired, actually shortly before I retired, I joined this organization, which I'm sure Helen's going to want to talk about, the Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia, who, if you saw the episode from a couple of days ago, Susan Gerbic was on, and she is the founder and head of that organization. So I signed up as a Guerrilla Skeptic on Wikipedia. And we work on Wikipedia to improve science and remove false claims, paranormal claims, conspiracies. And that got me into the whole movement of skepticism, if you will, science communication. I actually did a public talk on the subject, and then I wrote that up and I sent it in to the magazine Skeptical Inquirer, which, if you're not familiar, it's the magazine of science and reason and the most popular skeptic journal in the United States. I was shocked that they actually printed it, and they liked it enough to ask me to come on staff and become a staff writer. So that happened in 2018. And since then, I've been writing for them. I've had the privilege of interviewing people, including some people you might know, like Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Penn and Teller, and a lot of other people you might not know, but equally important. Let's see. Also, some YouTubers. Forrest Valkai comes to mind. Professor Dave. I just interviewed Gutsa Gibbon today. So I have a little bit of imposter syndrome about this sometimes, that I meet all these people that are out there and some very famous. Who am I doing? How am I doing this? But it just worked out that way. So I get to do that. And I also am a public speaker. I've given talks at SciCon, which is the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry's annual conference, 4 times. I also helped with the conference last year, 2 years ago, and this year I am the one of the organizers for what we call the Sunday paper session. So we request people write in proposals, and then my team, which is me and Susan, actually get to pick who's going to speak at the conference. This is a set of people that aren't well known, as opposed to the famous people that get invited, because of who they are. This is a way for people who are not necessarily known as public speakers. Maybe they even haven't done it before, but they get a chance to be up on the big stage with the big guys. And I did that 4 times myself, so that was quite fascinating. And that's probably why they asked me to be on the committee. So that's what I do. And then I joined Recovering from Religion, as I mentioned before, when the pandemic happened. Then they started the RFRX Talks show. I was initially involved with that behind the scenes. And then I think I subbed for somebody as a co-host, and they liked it enough that I'm pretty much the full-time co-host now, at least 75% of the time. With Cara, they are the current primary host. Cara Griffin, I'm sure you people know who that is. And Helen used to be on the show.
I did. Mm-hmm.
On to her own thing here. I don't have my
Yes,
own
I've
channel.
decided that my ego is too big for you guys now. So that's why I'm over here.
Yeah, so I post stuff on my channel, but it's just a copy of what goes on CS. I really don't do things on my own. I don't know. I guess I'm not an entrepreneur that way. Yeah, I have interviewed people who are YouTubers in the secular humanist communication, not famous people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I don't want to name names, but they make enough money to, I've been told, pay their mortgage. It's like, wow. Yeah, we had this conversation.
That's what
Yeah, that's what you're missing. We had this conversation about, especially, I've interviewed quite a few people who started out in academia as professors and teachers, and then they kind of morphed over into doing YouTube instead. And you reach, you don't reach a class of 50 people. You reach sometimes millions of people with what you're doing. So there's that plus. Plus, you make a hell of a lot of money, apparently, than a teacher does.
Right. So
anyway,
yeah.
so I don't do that. I get paid a little bit for the articles I write for Skeptical Inquirer, and then I do free articles for other skeptical sources like AIPT Science, 1 or 2 a year. I'll do for them. I've done one for the Skeptic in Australia. Pensar is a publication in the Spanish language in Argentina, that sort of thing. But mostly you can find me at Skeptical Inquirer, and my byline is The Well-Known Skeptic, which was very facetious when I started this.
Now it's accurate.
Did I ever tell you where that came from?
No, you have not told me. In all the years we have known each other, you have not told me that story. So now I'm intrigued.
So, do you know the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe podcast?
Yes, because you turned me on to it.
Okay, good. So they do this segment every week, which is what's that noisy? Or who's it? No, who's that noisy? Yeah, who's that noisy is their segment, right? So they encourage people to send in a sound, and then they play it. And then the following week, they reveal what it is after they read emails and like pick a winner of somebody who emailed them with the right sound. So I did that one year. And this was after I had already got to know them a little bit, because they came to a SciCon where I was. I wasn't yet a writer for them or anything, but I was working for the Guerrilla Skeptics, by the way. We're going to talk more about that later. This is a good way to meet people who are up there in the skeptic movement, because this is how this happened. So I got to meet Jay and Kara and Evan and let's see, I think it was all of them at the time, Kara and Steve Novella. So I was actually in conversation with Jay quite a bit, because he wanted a bio for Wikipedia written, and I had to explain, no, I'm sorry, Jay, you don't have the notability for that. Not a slight, but Wikipedia's got very strict rules, and I looked into it, and you don't, yada, yada, yada. But anyway, we had these conversations, so he knew who I was. So when I sent the noisy in, and Jay was the one who was doing that segment at the time, they picked my noisy to do. And the way Jay introduced it was, okay, now we have a noisy from somebody we know, right, Steve? This is a well-known skeptic, Rob Palmer. And I listened to that, I go, what? It's like, I did nothing publicly. I had nothing. I was a Wikipedia editor who's anonymous. There was no public at all. Why did he say that? So
now you got to live up to it.
It was a very, the timing was one of these weird things. It was just, as I mentioned in saying how I got the job at Skeptical Inquirer, I sent an article in and they asked me to be a columnist. That happened like 2 weeks later, like is when I got that call. And I'm thinking, what name should I use for the column? How could I not use that?
Right. That is great. I love that.
Otherwise, it was going to be like Palmer's Podium. I was coming up with all names.
Oh, see, I like alliteration.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how that came about. And of course, because no one knew who I was when it first came out. And of course, I had to make a Facebook group to at least say, okay, here's my new article. People were slamming me left and right. You're not well known. Who the hell are you?
I love it. I kind of love it. I just thought, like, I'm like, well, I think he's known well, but like you're known well. So.
Yeah, the funny thing about being known well, and you must know this too, is like the skeptic movement is even smaller than the atheist humanist movement, right?
It is, yes.
Right. So The very first SciCon I went to, we were sitting in the lobby bar, which is like, I don't know, maybe 50 feet from the check-in desk, huge check-in desk with probably 10 agents, because it's a Las Vegas casino, to check in the hotel. And we're all waiting. And we're seeing people. Oh, I know that person checking in. I know that person. And then Richard Dawkins goes up to the podium, right? Yeah. Nobody paid any attention to him because no one knew who he was. All the people in the casino just there to gamble, and they're like, they don't know who this is, right? So he's like was one of the biggest names in evolution science education right at the time. This is like 80 years ago, and all the other controversy hadn't come up, by the way, but the point is, like, he was a big fish in a very small pond. He was like one of the biggest fish in a very small. Nobody there who was just a random person knew who Richard Dawkins was. So you can imagine the rest of the people, like Susan Gerbic and me is way down at the bottom, like tiny guppy in a very, very, very small pond.
That's so great, though. That's fun. I like that. That's cool. Like, and now everybody knows you.
Well, yeah, I would never say everybody, but it's.
But you've interviewed some really big names, though, so that's kind of impressive. So it sounds like it's so small potatoes. Okay, I'm just saying. Like, you're 1 degree. I'm 2 degrees from Neil deGrasse Tyson because of you. Okay. I don't know what degree you are if you're in the same room with Bill Nye.
Yeah, Bill Nye is the only person I've ever seen at SciCon walking in the public area, like through the casino, who people knew who he was. And then of all the skeptic and scientists that we get, who are like, oh wow, Eugenie Scott, she was head of the National Science Foundation, and nobody knows who she is. But like Bill Nye, yeah, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, both of those two people, absolutely, the general public know who they are.
My Facebook memory came up yesterday where I saw Bill Nye do that talk in New College I told you about last year. So that came up this week, and I was like, oh yeah, I did that last year. That was fun. Listen to Bill Nye talk to a conspiracy theorist at a theater. And my tech is my Satanist friend Sarah that you met because did an RFR talk. She's like, hey Helen, do you want to go see Bill Nye talk? Had this thing against this conspiracy theorist that DeSantis wants to promote to the new college board.
So did you drop my name? Did you drop my name, Helen? So I know somebody who actually knows him personally.
I didn't get to meet him. Otherwise, I would have. I'm like you should hang out with my friend Rob.
Yeah, the other person from a totally different field that I got to interview twice, and also went to SciCon and talked in person. Do you happen to know who John Delancey is?
You know that I know.
I don't know if other people who don't know, one of the most popular characters, villains in the Star Trek franchise. So yeah, I got to interview him twice. Once for CFI.
So Kyle had a question, so that's why I put it up.
As an astrophotographer, I do with flat Earth comments a lot. And what point does it go from skeptical to cynical? Yeah, we will have to talk about flat Earth, since my last two of my last three, I think it was, posted articles, which were video interviews, were with people having to do with flat Earth and the final experiment. So put that question up again.
Susan talked about that. It was just.
I watched you talk about that. So I've interviewed both of those people.
Now I want them to come on my show so I can talk about it and be like, hey, I want to hear about your experience.
Yeah. So actually, it started with Susan. By the way, I did not know this had happened. I wasn't paying too much attention to flat Earth. I knew there was this thing called The Final Experiment, but I wasn't glued to YouTube to every video that was. I just didn't watch many. I had to watch one. It's like, oh, this is so ridiculous. How is anyone even arguing this? Why are these people spending money doing this? Was kind of my mindset on this. What's the point of this after all these years? So then Susan tells me that she went to Skeptical LA, I think it was, and one of their speakers was a guy named Jaron Campanella, who I did not know his name. He is one of the, I would have to say, top 3 or 4 influencers, not just a flat Earth believer, but influencers who has convinced who knows how many other people that the Earth is flat because of his video content. Right. So went to Skeptic to talk about it, that he had changed his mind after he went to Antarctica. And this is so unusual for this to happen. For someone to change their mind publicly who's got a vested interest in doing something. So after I found out about that, she put me in touch with him, and I got to do my own interview for Skeptical Inquirer with him. So, and that was a fascinating discussion. And I've kept in touch with him since, because one thing we argued a little bit about on that interview, and I knew this going into it because he had said something at Skeptical that he still didn't think we went to the moon. Right. So just because you change your mind on one thing doesn't mean you're going to change your mind on another thing. And if you're a flat earther, that means you can't go into Earth orbit because you can't orbit a flat plane. And there's nobody went to the moon. So if you're a flat earther, you're definitely a moon landing denier. In fact, a space denier. You don't believe in satellites, that kind of
Which doesn't make any. Okay, so that's the thing. Like, what do they think their disk is floating in?
Well, we can get into that if you want.
I'm just I'm trying to conceptualize.
I'm pretty good at knowing some of the arguments without strawmanning it, and I can probably role play if you want to do that later. That might be fun. But they don't all believe the same thing. That's part of the problem.
I role played it when we at excursion last year for RFR. I role played someone that believed that the pyramids were built by aliens.
Nice. How did that come up? How'd that come up?
Because Ben was teaching street epistemology. He did a workshop, and he was like, so he wanted us, the volunteers, because we were well versed, because there's a lot of people there that hadn't had those types of conversations. And then, or they wanted to hone their skills. So I played someone that he's like, basically, you believe in something really silly. And I was like, I believe aliens built the pyramids. So it was really fun. But it's also like when you listen to yourself say these words, you're just like, because I'm like, well, I go, it's just so advanced. And, Ancient Alien says, like, certain things match certain things. Did you see that thing that looked like a helicopter? Blah, blah, blah. And then you listen to yourself, you're like, oh my God.
You absorbed some of that from somewhere.
Hey, listen. I believe that I could wave my fingers over you and healed you. Okay. I'm magic. All right. Like I told Reiki master.
So when you asked me about my, how I didn't actually go back in time a little bit here, and then we'll get back to flat Earth. Yeah. I used to believe all that stuff too. I mean, I didn't go so far as to become a Wiccan high priest or whatever they call it for a male, or learn Reiki. But I believed in all that.
It's the same thing. Which you'd be a high priest. Okay. You'd be a high priest in the religion.
So I didn't believe I had magic powers.
So some sects of Wicca are sexist and don't allow men. So there's that. Anyway, go ahead. Yep. Oh yeah. So progressive. #feminism. Anyway, go ahead.
But I was a big believer in UFOs. I mean, you go to the library, and this is, I was raised before there was an internet. You couldn't go Google anything, even Netscape it. It was books in the library, and there's a lot of books in the science section about UFOs. It's like, and there wasn't any very little counter stuff about it. So it's like, I picked up books on UFOs. I still remember one which claimed that, there's one guy met all the alien races, and he had sketches. Serious? He had sketches of them. He had sketches of the spacecraft. Each chapter was the Saurians, the Zeta Reticuli people, whatever. Now this has just moved to TikTok, by the way. But this was in a book.
That's where they're all.
Made it very official, and I believed it. I believed in alien abductions big time. That kind of thing. I don't remember if crop circles were a thing back then, but if it was, I would have for sure. I probably believed in ancient aliens.
I don't know.
I read Von Däniken all the time. I had all Von Däniken's books. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That's crazy. Kyle does I own some of his space photographs, which I'm going to put up in my bedroom eventually, and then I'll have a wall. But anyway, but I do have several. It's very good stuff. Anyway, I just find that so strange. No, you didn't. You didn't do that. As AI. Okay. So hello, people. Hey, how, if it's AI rendering, doesn't AI need a reference of what the Horseshoe Nebula might look like?
Did you see that video? Did you see that video by the Cosmic Skeptic regarding AI not being able to draw a full glass of wine?
No.
Yeah. The whole thing was, and he showed examples. Okay, AI, give me a glass of wine. Now make it full, and it's no change. Make it full to the brim, and like there's no change. Make it running over the top, and then there's a hole inside of the glass, and it's pouring through the glass, not over the top. It's like it could not do, because like you're probably right. People don't take pictures of a wine glass filled to the top, and so it didn't freaking know what to make of this. Bizarre. Right. But if anyone listens to this and tries it, now you can get it to do it. Because I think people have decided when they watch that video, probably, because actually I tried it right then. It was like, I don't know, I saw it a month late and I could find it. I'm pretty sure because that video was out, other people were putting full glasses of wine pictures, and now AI can do that.
I have a skeptic question to ask you.
And we have to get back to the flat Earth. I wasn't finished talking about that.
Okay, we're going to go back to flat Earth, but I'm going to, like, you said something so triggered this. You're talking about AI, but let's go back to flat Earth, because that's you have to keep us on track, because you know the ADHD brain. Anyway, go. So.
Okay. Flat Earth. You want me to talk about that now, or you want to ask a question?
No, I want to talk about flat Earth, because we brought it back. So let's talk about flat Earth.
So I got to interview Jaron Campanella. And it was quite fascinating. The first time I've ever talked to anybody who at least used to believe. I still have never talked to a believer of flat Earth, interestingly. But at least somebody who actually did, and wasn't just a Poe, wasn't just somebody who's a troll. He actually believed it to the point where he's making his living on the internet, part of it anyway, doing this. And he was firmly into it, to the point where, it took a trip to Antarctica to see the sun in the sky for 24 hours, which was totally against the model he believed in. And then he changed his mind, and he went to the Skeptic Talk to talk about changing his mind. But so we talked a little bit about the ramifications of that, and I've been chatting with him since. Like, he has lost, all of his followers, people who are Patreons, friends and family. He is now considered a shill for the U.S. government that has been undercover for 10 years to pretend he's a flat earther, to try to embarrass them at this point. It is phenomenal.
Wow, that's some mental gymnastics.
And this is what happens to keep people in any cult. And I'm going to call flat Earth a cult, right? Any high control religion. You see the examples of what happens when someone leaves, and therefore that's another reason to stay.
Right.
Right. I don't want to go through what Jaron went through. Okay, maybe I'll just be a little more quiet about it. But I'm not going to come out and say I was wrong and that the Earth is a sphere. So, but yet there are a lot of people leaving the movement. And so my second interview was with one of the Globe believers who went to the final experiment. It turns out there were 4 and 4, I think. And this guy is Dave McKeegan. He's a Brit with a fantastic YouTube channel. He debunks conspiracies, mostly flat Earth and space denial, Apollo moon landing denial, and that sort of thing. He's actually a photographer. His early stuff is just detailed stuff about photography, which is really great if you're interested in that. But then he started talking to a fellow photographer who thought, oh, those pictures from the moon are clearly fake. And he decided to make a video showing why that's not true. And then he just got pulled into this rabbit hole. But now, he's well known for doing this. So anyway, after I found out about him, I saw that he was having discussions with Jaron online, several marathon 3, 4, 5-hour sessions where they would throw up videos of stuff that was supposedly taken on the moon and Jaron didn't believe. And they would go through, argue, and he finally changed Jaron's mind. So I had to get this guy on. So that was my last article published on the subject, because he went to Antarctica too. He had a hand in formulating what the experiments they were going to do and trying to make them bulletproof so that flat earthers could say, oh, you faked that. And he got to know Jaron very well from, especially he was there with him, but also these post-trip interviews. And that was also a fascinating discussion. So I got to talk to him about this subject too. And these people got free trips to Antarctica, like $35,000. Like I wish I was more into it on either side way back.
That's a little bit more than my salary. So.
Yeah. Holy crap.
I'm like,
yeah.
That's
and this started.
Like, I would go. Like, I'd be freezing my ass off, but I'm like, I get to go fucking Antarctica.
This started because of religion.
Who gets to go to fucking Antarctica except for like scientists? And then you go crazy. Like, after, like, have you heard of like Antarctica sickness?
No. So they went
okay. Well,
they went in the summer, right? So it wasn't quite as bad
yeah.
as in that picture, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't snowing. So to bring it back to religion, this trip and this final experiment happened because of religion. And I did not know that before I talked to Jaron and then Dave in more detail. There was a pastor, Will Duffy, who was talking to one of his congregates and just, the Bible says the earth is flat. And he goes, what? No, it doesn't. And then he thought she was joking. And then he got into it enough with her that he got into the flat earth movement to see there actually were people who believe this, a lot of them. And I don't know what got into him. I would love to interview him. I haven't been able to reach him. I have tried. But he decided to fund this and help people go and formulate this trip and plan it and everything. And, he got the funds together for, I don't know if it was for everyone, but for a lot of them. He was originally
I would love to talk to him.
Oh my God. He was going to take one and then it escalated. Well, that one's going to say that one lied. No, we need more people than that. And then they had the way Dave McKeegan got to go and Jaron, they had a poll. He made a flat earth Facebook group where people voted in a poll for the people who are on both sides of this. Who would you like to go? And that's how people got nominated. And so both Jaron and Dave took them up on it. So interestingly, one of the most famous flat earth people, for even people who only follow this whole thing minimally, might know the name, is Mark Sargent. He got asked and he didn't go. And
that's what Susan was saying the other night.
Yeah, I talked with Dave. Why is that? Would he been just too embarrassed to change his mind? And he wouldn't. Yeah. So he was the one who was. I knew about him and not the other names because he and Patricia Steer were the two people featured in the documentary Behind the Curve. And if you ever want to watch something that tells you why people believe this stuff and other nonsense, that's a good documentary to watch, Behind the Curve, because it concentrates on who these people are. And it features those two people as well as other people. It shows them interacting. It shows why they believe what they believe. And it's a quite fascinating thing. So anyway, I knew of Mark Sargent. He's one of the more famous names out there. He's probably more responsible for getting people to believe this than anyone else I can think of. And he was offered to go and said, no, I'm not going to do that.
It's just wild. Like, honestly, this is just wild to me as a concept. Like, because I told, like, the story I told the other night about, like, going on a flat earth server and actually talking to a flat earther. Like, I would listen to their talks and I would be like, there's so much bullshit here that I can't even unpack it. And, like, the thing is, though, like, if you're not scientifically versed, like, because that's the thing is that, like, I know what forced perspective is. I know, enough layman stuff that I know when I'm looking at something that's real versus, like, something was doctored or whatever. Like, I know what all that shit is, but I can't articulate it. Some people can. Like, some people, they have a way of describing it that makes sense to me, but I just don't have that language. So and also too, once you start debunking one thing, like they jump to something else. They go, they move the goalposts so fast that you're just like, I was talking about this, now we're over here.
You see that on calls to the ACA shows and the line shows too, right? The theist is calling in with a point, and then it gets it gets pushed back on, even to the point that they must realize, oh, that doesn't hold up. Let me jump to something else. They don't try to defend it anymore, or even push back and say, no, you're wrong, because I just go to a different subject. Yeah. So the reason
tell your 10th grade. Oh, that's great. I've like crazy stuff into my 30s.
10th grade. How old are you in 10th grade? Oh yeah, 15. Yeah. Well, that's about the time I believed all the crazy stuff too. So yeah. It's funny. Most of the people I meet who are actually more well known than me, skeptics, also had that kind of upbringing background into their teens or whatever. Yeah. Especially because if you're older, that's what, like I said, that's what was available in the library, on television. You couldn't really Google to find out.
I was watching some shit and have some unsolved mysteries.
Yeah. What was the show with Leonard Nimoy, my hero from Star Trek? Nonsense every week.
But I also watched Jonathan Frakes that did, Believe It or Not, where they would debunk shit. Like, it was in the 90s, but Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek was on. It was the host.
Jonathan Frakes. Yes, I know who he is.
Yeah. And he would he would debunk like popular like folklores or
I'm surprised at that. I don't remember that because he was the
you don't
host.
really oh, it was so
I don't
good.
remember that.
It
He
was
was the
so
host of
good.
the Alien Autopsy. Do you know about
Oh,
Alien
yes,
Autopsy?
he was.
Which was presented as a real freaking thing. Was
I
maybe.
like that, but like, listen, I know he was just like, I want this thing, and if I do this stuff in this stupid fucking movie, like I'm gonna make some money because like he does not believe in bullshit. So, or he might be, but again, some people get weird. Like they don't believe in like flat Earth, but they believe like aliens are real.
Oh yeah.
But
That's
every
more.
other
That's a more.
conspiracy
Yeah, yeah.
theory is bullshit.
I had a friend who was a believer, and I would say pretty much every conspiracy theory and paranormal thing, pseudoscience, if best friend was a psychic, yada yada yada. And in arguments with her, finally one day I said, "Oh, because she was talking about chemtrails. NASA had
Right.
launched a balloon across the United States to check some atmospheric thing, and all over her post was that they were dropping chemicals to infiltrate people's minds as a part of the chemtrail thing. And so I mentioned this, and I go, "This is like as bad as the flat Earth belief." I think that's the way I put it. She goes, "That is so insulting, Rob, that you would think I'm a flat earther." But every other thing that I could probably name, she believes in. So a little bit more on the flat Earth and space denial and that kind of a thing. All of these incorrect thoughts aren't all the same, but there's a similarity in some of them. And what I think I've learned about from now talking to Jaron and other people regarding flat Earth beliefs and space denial is it's kind of a combination of two phrases. One most people probably know is Dunning-Kruger, right? And the other one I just recently learned is naive realism. Have you heard that term?
Naive realism.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah. So this is
So what does that mean?
actually, so I just actually heard this is on the Flat Earth Society's website as what they describe is naive realism. And it basically is, I wrote this down when I looked it up on Wikipedia. Your senses tell you all you need to know about the universe.
Oh no.
Just think about that. Yep. Which is the opposite of reality, right? Right. We've developed science to help our senses and
So
our
we are living in the
understanding.
Matrix.
Yeah. I look around, I see a flat horizon. I don't feel like the Earth is moving. Therefore, it's not. Therefore, the Earth is flat, right? I can't understand how we could have launched all these rockets into space and gone to the moon because the moon doesn't look like it's right yet. So therefore, we didn't. And there's the Dunning-Kruger, which I know very little about something, but I think I'm an expert in it. Which is, you put those two things together, and it's a recipe for disaster. And that seems to be where a lot of people are with a lot of these conspiracies.
Okay, like listen, Neo. Like your senses don't tell you about the universe, Neo. So sorry.
Yeah, I start my talk about critical thinking, which I actually gave to RFR once and elsewhere, with a slide that shows two phrases that people say all the time, and they say these are the most inaccurate things people ever say, but they think they're true. I know what I saw, and I know what I remember. So and then I delve into both why those are both wrong. But that is naive realism. I know what I saw and I know what I remember, and you can't tell me otherwise, no matter what science tells me. That's the scary part.
So you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, not all conspiracies are on that same footing, but I would say at least flat Earth and maybe space denialism is, because it's closely connected. Yeah.
It's just fascinating to me because it's just a little bit like this is the thing. This is what's really weird is that even when I believed in magic, I didn't really believe in conspiracy theories like alien. Like I thought, okay, what I did think, I thought that people could like channel alien consciousness, but like aliens actually hadn't been here because to a pagan and someone that believes that energy doesn't have like space and time is an illusion. See. Then you think you can channel aliens because they're not billions and billions and billions and billions of light years away or in another galaxy. No, they're not there. That doesn't matter in the ethereal realm. Blah 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 blah. but I didn't believe in Bigfoot. I didn't believe in the Loch Ness monster. I didn't believe that. I believed in science. It's
those
so
two
weird
things,
how we can compartmentalize.
right? Yeah, absolutely. But the Bigfoot and the are the most least bizarre things I would try to categorize, right?
Like cryptozoology.
Yeah.
Like, because that's an actual science. People.
Yeah, I mean, well, finding, we have occasionally found animals that we thought were extinct. The coelacanth is one that comes up a lot, but so it's not paranormal, but it does verge into the realm of paranormal. I will say with Bigfoot, because the lack of evidence. Lack of evidence is sometimes meaningful, right? And the fact that we've populated the whole continent, everyone's walking around with high-def videos and cameras, and there's nothing better than the Patterson-Gimlin film from whenever that was in the 80s. That's some evidence that this is not real. And also the science of the fact that you need a large population, otherwise breeding is not going to continue, and this species are going to go extinct. So it's not one Bigfoot, right? So those are problems. So then people come up with the paranormal part. Oh, it's an interdimensional being. It gets here from another dimension.
Yeah,
right? That's the explanation.
Did you hear that Joe Rogan interview where he interviewed a dude that said that Bigfoot travels here through portals?
Oh, there you go.
And I'm sitting there going like, what the this was like a year ago or so, and I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, Joe, this is a stretch for this guess. Like
somebody put in the chat.
I'm like, we are in the deep end.
Yeah. I think Helen would agree. She misspoke. It's not, cryptozoology isn't a science. Finding animals is, but yeah. Right.
No. Okay. So
somebody put in the chat and slammed you on that. Yeah.
So, my girlfriend Bree is she started as as a cryptozoologist, and then actually learned the science behind it, and now she debunks how she'll bring up the Mothman or another cryptoid, and then debunk it by using animal science and why this thing wouldn't exist and why it can't do that. Yeah.
The problem with cryptozoology is it relies wholly on two things: anecdotal evidence and basically hoaxed evidence. Hoaxed
and pareidolia,
footprints and whatever. Yeah, one could say that too. That's right. Well, anecdotal evidence, yeah. So
now it's cheesecloth.
I think I talked to you last time about I went to the fringe group in my state. And they talked a lot about the missing 411 conspiracy, and maybe Bigfoot has something to do with that. So that's a whole nother thing. I don't remember. Did we talk about missing 411?
I don't think so. I don't remember talking about this.
Okay. Well,
but you watched our video for my last one last night, so I don't remember. Maybe we did.
Yeah, it was like freaking 2 hours long.
You can remind me.
I don't know, but my other people might catch this. So let me just talk about that in. Quickly. So this sometimes you don't know where a belief comes from, but this one we do. There's one person named David Paulides who invented this. He was an ex-cop, and he started writing books, and he named it Missing 411. And it's about people going missing in, the first book was about National Park, and then there was another book about National Park. Then it was America, the Midwest, and the East, and Canada. He had a cash cow, and he wrote 12 books or something. He's also got 2 documentaries. It's all about people having gone missing under quote unquote mysterious circumstances with no reasonable explanation. And, he doesn't say what they are. And this is one of, I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm just asking questions. But of course, some of the people who believe this think it's something to do with an interdimensional Bigfoot. So there you go. There's a connection.
That was a rabbit hole.
Yeah, you can look up this nice Wikipedia article Guerrilla Skeptics wrote or helped write on Missing 411, and David Paulides is mentioned in it heavily because he was also a Bigfoot. There's a connection. He wrote a Bigfoot book or two before he got it onto the Missing 411 conspiracy. And there's a podcast called Data Skeptic, which is run by a data scientist called Kyle Polich. and he is the only person who investigated this and started talking about it at science conventions, and because it's such a little known conspiracy. But he likes getting into the data, and this is all about data because David Paulides puts out data. Look at this. How could you say this isn't true? All these people are missing this case and this case and this case. And of course, Kyle goes through it and goes, there's nothing more here than random noise and what you would expect to happen in a national park under these circumstances or whatever. And
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
David Paulides' followers are cult members of their own because they hate Kyle. They go on the Wikipedia page and disparage him. They go on his own page and disparage him because they're trying to, no, this is real. And again, you're suppressing the truth. The U.S. government is covering up these missing people. And it's just awful.
It's one of those things that I like, wow, I like to be that deep in. It's concerning.
Yeah. It becomes like you get,
that's concerning.
And this is like flat Earth, or if you're in a high control religion, it becomes part of your persona. I know you talked a little bit about this with Susan too. And it's hard to leave. As I mentioned, Jaron, got disparaged and raked over the coals, and his life has been turned upside down because he changed his mind publicly. And this is what happens. Like, you become friendly with all the people who believe the same way you do and support each other. And to leave is a very difficult thing to do. And you disparage anyone who does, or anyone who is trying to give you evidence that maybe you should rethink this. And we hit on it a little bit, but I want to talk about the UFO believers and the people of disclosure, because they are the freaking worst at this.
Oh, goody. It's exciting. Please go. I'm listening.
Well, these people believe.
This is why I love talking to you, because these are the circles I don't swim in very much, but I'm fascinated by it. So please share.
See, I've written
Stereotype for Helen.
I've written extensively on Skeptical Inquirer as well as AIPT Science on this subject because it does fascinate me. The belief that aliens are just about to be revealed by the U.S. government, and this has been going on for 4 or 5 decades. But every week I get pushed to me on TikTok or Facebook or Reels. It's like, so-and-so says 72 hours, a huge announcement is going to be made. Or you watch TikToks, and you mentioned channeling before. So many people channel aliens now, or in fact say they are aliens because there's starseed left behind by them. And they're all talking about the Galactic Federation. The Galactic Federation is about to reveal itself and stop World War III on Earth. That would be nice if it were true, if that were going to happen. Or for whatever reason, they're here to help us, and it's any day now. And the people who believe this stuff are angry because the U.S. government doesn't step up and admit it or actively denies it, right? And anyone who pushes back on them is an evil monster, including myself. I've been disparaged by name. Watch on Rob Heatherly's podcast, where he's interviewing 3 people who are all alien abductees. Experiencers, excuse me. I don't want to use the wrong term. They like to call.
I'm sorry. What was it?
Yeah, the newfangled term is experiencer.
Experiencer.
Yeah, it's disparaging to say you're an alien abductee, but it means the same exact thing. Yeah. Somehow, because you've taken in the experience, you've personalized it, as opposed to you were just abducted. Right.
If I hear the word experiencer, you're not in a safe space. I'm sorry. Like, you and I are going to have a conversation.
So Rob Heatherly is talking with these 3 people who believe that they were, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, that they actually believe it. They're not posed. They've had some experience that they attribute to being abducted by aliens, and the government's in cahoots with these people. And therefore, Rob Palmer, who wrote about this and giving other reasons, is being paid by NSA or the CIA to help the government cover this up. Susan Gerbic, who also investigates this kind of stuff, they went to her Wikipedia bio, and where it said, skeptical activist, they replaced the words with shill for the U.S. government, disclosure agent, that kind of a thing. And they are really angry and possibly dangerous because they believe this is important shit, and you're helping the government stop the revelation. This worries us. And I'll tell you how it could get
Wow,
worse.
that's insane.
Like, why would people care about this? And let me tell you this, I saw this in person. I went to that fringe group in my state, as I mentioned. And one of the sessions was this person got up and was talking about this subject, because that was the subject of the meeting. Portals, by the way. I saw we talking about portals in the chat. We can talk about what they believe about portals, but portals are real, not just for Bigfoot.
Okay.
The U.S. government has portals to other planets, just like Stargate, and that's real. That's real shit. And in fact, those shows are on television to get us used to the idea. So when disclosure happens, we don't have
figured out how to bend space time. That's
Yes.
what they figured out. Yeah.
Well, then they figure out we're just using alien tech because we're in cahoots with the aliens. They just gave it to us, apparently.
So
as
why
well,
is it,
as well as spaceships, we have alien space, just like on Stargate. We have alien-derived technology spaceships that no one knows about, and they just launch all the other low-tech spaceships into the ocean because we had to make it look good. You know, that's what they believe about the space program. But the U.S. government has real alien tech. Now, and here's where it diverges into the sad and possibly dangerous or danger-inducing. Since they're in cahoots with aliens, they believe we have alien medical technology to cure cancer and things like that. And because we're helping the government keep this secret, we're keeping the secret of that technology that can save people's lives. And this guy got up at this meeting in tears because his family member died of cancer unnecessarily because of this cover-up. See, this is the problem. I mean, this can incite somebody to violence.
This isn't. It's insane. And that's the thing that's so scary. Like, because to me, that sounds bonkers. Bonkers.
Yeah.
But also, and it's degree. Some people like believe in this stuff, and they might be, adamant, but they wouldn't cause actual harm.
But you never know. There's just one lone person out there.
What?
You never know if there's this one lone person out there who goes over the top. And yep, my so and so died because of you, and takes you out on stage or something. It's scary that we're in a place like this, and we've probably never been in a place where so many people believe such incorrect and dangerous to others and the world things. And I have a hard time. Of course, I love the internet because I grew up without it, and it's amazing what we have at our fingertips. But also, all of this stuff is obviously promoted because we have the internet and social media.
Yep. As I say, because the internet, you have info, you have access to all the information, which means you have access to all the information. Yeah. And if you don't know how to tell good information from bad information, you're going to get fucked.
That's why science communication and skepticism is so important now. People say, well, what good is it doing? The world seems to be getting worse and worse in this way. But okay, we can't run the experiment where, there's nobody pushing back at all and see how much worse it would be.
Right. Because human beings aren't like that. Not everybody's a nihilist. So, Yeah.
So, by the way,
like some people don't. The majority of people don't want to see the world burn. So you can't do that experiment. It's like the impossible. Like we can't do certain experiments. Like let's leave a child in the woods for 10 years.
Yeah, right.
And we'll just observe it and see how it does.
Don't talk to them. Right. It's a good thing we can't do stuff like that.
Right.
So let me tell you about another reason that another way the fact that the internet exists has made this particular thing worse. Do you know what the term a targeted individual is?
Other than no, and I think it's Scientology is as a press was it
that's
potential trouble source.
Suppressive. no okay, so this is an extreme form of paranoia where the person believes they're targeted for surveillance.
It's associated with like schizophrenia and paranoia.
It's a paranoid delusion. I don't know.
It's a paranoid delusion. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, but yes, I have heard of it. It just took me Well,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So in the old days, if somebody had this, in the old days, I mean before the internet, if somebody had this belief, and the belief, by the way, is I'll tell you, because I've once removed from two different people who have this, and also I know psychologists who talk about this from some of their clients. It's you believe that everything in the world that you see is targeting you. It's like if you were Truman in the Truman Show, after you found out that now you're suspecting and you're pretty sure you know everyone else is an actor, right? And in that Truman Show, it's true. They're just all there to keep him in place, essentially, for the TV show to go on. So they believe the world is like that regarding them, right? So if you
so everybody's right there in the Truman Show.
Yeah. So if you Helen, were going out to dinner and there's like 8 other people sitting at tables around you in the restaurant, they're not there because of random chance that they went to enjoy this restaurant. They're there because they knew you're being surveilled and they have a bug in your apartment. They knew you were going and they got there so that they can keep tabs on you in person. It is a scary shit thing. Partly because clearly you need some kind of psychotic medication and you're not going to take it because hey, they put a chip in it. Like even if my pharmacist is on the up and up, the CIA snuck in there at night and put a chip in it, or broke into my house and put a chip in it. Why would I take this medication? It's a scary thing.
You can't force people.
But what I was trying to say is before the internet and social media, you believe this and you were on your own and maybe you could be gotten out of it and gone take medication or whatever. Now you go on the internet and there's groups of people reinforcing this because they all believe it and they found each other and they prove to each other and they share their stories. It's a horrible circumstance and you're never going to talk them out of it now. Right. So the New York Times wrote an article about this. It's also called gang stalking, which I think is a weird name. There's a New York Times article with the phrase gang stalking in the headline. And it says, there may be 10,000 people who believe this in the U.S. I have to believe if I know 2 people only once removed, it's way more than freaking 10,000 people.
Jeez.
Yeah. So the person I knew was that one of the people, I won't talk about the other person, but the one was at work. It was a coworker's grown son who, was disturbed enough that he couldn't have a job. And he basically, my friend was taking care of him at home. I think he was like, maybe his son's 40-ish. But he would go home and find things in his house disassembled. He would never know what he would come home to find. The TV is in parts on the kitchen table, or the smoke alarms are off the ceiling apart, because his son heard buzzing and therefore thought those were bugs and he had to find the bugs. And like sad. I said, he wouldn't take medication because like, who knows what's in the, they're going to chip me if I do that. And a lot of them believe they've been chipped in their sleep or something. That's another thing. If you go online and look at these sites, people share photos of supposedly themselves and there's, implants in their arms or whatever. I found this and I don't know what it is. And definitely I'm being followed. Yeah. So I don't know what to say about that, except, that this is not a common thing, as common as flat earth belief and space denial and whatever. But it's a worrisome thing. And it's another thing I'm connecting to it's spreading or being reinforced, at least because of social media and the internet.
So have you found like when you have like when you talk to people that leave, like did they talk about like they became a skeptic and they now they're very invested into like knowing the truth about things, like when they talked, like did they talk about like people or themselves that ever got to a point where it was getting like not good for them to believe this to a certain extent, whatever belief it was?
Well, most of the people I've talked to in the skeptical movement, as I think I said, at one point in their lives when they were younger, did believe in a lot of things like that. Susan Gerbic didn't bring it up, but she believed in spontaneous human combustion, and she was scared shitless for part of her life, that she was just going to burst into flames. Yeah. So from a personal fear experience, I guess that can happen. I thought I might be abducted by aliens. I told the story in one of my articles about when I was a teenager. I moved my bedroom from my parents' second-story house. The bedroom was upstairs with windows on 2 walls. And I was reading all this stuff about people being beamed through their, windows into alien spacecraft and being probed. And we had a basement that was not finished and colder than the rest of the house. But I moved down there, at least partly to get away from being tractor beamed through my window, because there were no windows in the basement. Also because I hated sharing the room with my younger brother. But that was on my mind. It's like, okay, I won't be beamed into an alien spacecraft and probed. So yeah, there was a little fear. There was a little fear there. I also believed in things like Ouija boards, I guess, and psychic powers and bending spoons, but I didn't scare me enough where I was on my mind a lot. But I did believe in aliens a lot, which is possibly why I'm very interested in pushing back on that whole thing now.
Well, I mean, like, because I believed in woo-woo shit. Like, that's the stuff I push back more than organized religion. Like, I'm like, listen, I'm like, you leave religion, but then you start believing in other weird shit.
Very, very often.
Like, you don't believe in that weird shit. It's even weirder.
So you were raised Catholic, and as I said, my cousins were aunts and uncles were Catholic. So when I was a young teenager, one of my aunts, and she's the first one who I think converted and got everyone else in the whole family to convert to the evangelical movement. And again, she was Catholic nominally, probably like the rest of my immediate family. We went to church maybe on Easter and Christmas, at that point. Although earlier, maybe it was more often than that. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. So, that was a thing. But anyway, but she was Catholic.
No, I went for 8. 9, 10. My preschool was Catholic, so I went for 10 years.
Preschool? I don't know that we knew there were preschools.
Yeah. Or Mrs. Francis was just very religious, but she was also a sweetheart. And she remembered about me when I was a little girl that I always wanted to have juice in a green cup.
So my aunt, who was, essentially Catholic, was into all the stuff that you were into when you were, as a Wiccan. She was into Ouija boards and crystals and astrology and stuff like that. I don't remember all the details of the other things, but I was like, and then when she became an evangelical Christian,
boy,
all of a sudden that was all wrong. It's like a switch got flipped, and so one week she was so believing this was real, she was trying to promote it to me and the rest of the family, all the nonsense woo. And then all of a sudden, no, that was wrong. I never really talked to her about that because I was too young to interrogate my aunt. But it's like, was it because you believed you were wrong, or is it real, sort of? And it's the devil. Is Satan making those things look like they're real to people?
It's the devil.
The devil.
Obviously.
The devil. Yeah.
So listen.
Yeah.
The devil's not very scary. I'm just saying. Like, I have higher expectations.
Yeah, I when you read the book where he's mentioned, right? There's 2 main characters in the book, right? There's the God character who's multiple personalities because he's also the Jesus guy. But then there's the devil, and you do the math. Who killed the most people in the book? I don't know if the devil actually killed anybody directly, but no big stories jump to mind. God flooded the freaking planet and killed every living thing except for a boatload, right? And then Sodom and Gomorrah, and we could go down the list. But he must have killed, I don't know, millions. There weren't that many humans at the time, perhaps hundreds of millions of people. And he's the hero of the story, and the devil, he's bad. He's bad.
Hey, listen.
I don't get
this. This is the thing. Remember, is it Lot that he makes a bet with it, or is it Job?
Job, that's
okay. Job. So he makes I always get Lot and Job confused. Okay, so he makes it. Listen, you're okay. This is the stupidest fucking story because God is omniscient.
The 3 omnis. Just say the 3 omnis.
The omnis. He's very omni. He's very daddy. Okay, so he's all the things, and then so I'm like, you're gonna win. So. Are you just fucking with this guy?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to test him anyway, even though I know the outcome. It's like, and it's preordained because it's part of my plan. I don't get it.
I'm like, why? It falls apart. You should hear people when they try to debunk this is even better. And I'm like, because I'm like, then he's not all knowing because then God is dumb.
Well. Either dumb or not good. I mean, you can't be the 3 omnis. That's the clear thing. You just can't be good and all powerful and all knowing. They just don't. go
They're
together
all
for
contradictory.
what we got on this planet or in that storybook. They can't be. Right. So you go back to the very beginning. And again, I all my family believes in Bible literacy, and I work with engineers and scientists who believe it too. Okay, you had two little children. They're below the age they really understand good from bad. You're going to put them in a room with a bowl of candy, and you're going to say, "Don't eat the candy." By the way, I got webcams all over it, and my smartphone is looking at you all the time. But I'm going to turn it off when I leave the room. Right. And I'm going to let the sneaky salesman in who's going to come and try to tell you to eat the candy. It's like, and by the way, I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to do.
But God never says, don't. He just says, don't eat from the tree. He doesn't say, don't listen to strangers, which is the first lesson that you teach your children.
True. He even left that out as if the serpent got in there without God knowing it was going to happen. So that's a little problematic too, again, with the three omnis. Yeah. And then now going back to the parent situation, now because your kids did this and fell for and ate the candy, now you're going to throw them out of your house into this wilderness.
Right.
And they're going to go to hell unless they believe in Jesus later. That's a whole other story because they waited thousands of years for that to happen. So I don't know what happened to Adam and Eve and all their kids before Jesus came. There's probably some apologetic. But yeah. And now also all of their kids are to blame too, right? Because of what mommy and daddy did when they didn't know what they shouldn't do.
This was the thing though, like it's not even sex. They don't actually fuck because what happens is, this is what happened. They don't fuck till after they say it's about original sin. Okay. Right. Usually referring to sex. It's not sex.
I was never clear on that. None of the nuns I went with.
Because usually people think it's sex. It's not sex because they didn't even know they were naked. Okay. Like, so I don't think that Adam and Eve, like if they touched genitals or whatever, like fine, they didn't really understand, but then they don't think about it. They're children, adult bodies. It's weird. and then with
no navels or with navels. I'm not clear on that.
No navels, which I'm gonna immediately every time you see a painting of me, I'm like, those people should not have navels. So there you go, priest. Anyway, so.
I wish I was as skeptical when I was going to Catholic school, and I could ask these questions, but I just wasn't enough to do it. So
I wasn't there yet. I wish, but I remember I was like, well, how did that happen? Because we know how babies. Well, Catholics believe in evolution, so I didn't have that problem.
Yeah, I think that's really part of the problem. I'm thinking of it with my adult mind, listening to evangelicals, but Catholics didn't really talk about these stories like they were true. So there wasn't really that much to push back on in that regard. That's right.
It's one of those things that, if you think about, I'm just let's just think about this for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's just sit and let's look at the logistics.
So Helen, I'm an adult working in the aerospace industry, working with people, and I won't name her, but it was somebody who was a master's in mathematics, working on computer programming to fly missiles from Aegis Navy ships. And she's a young Earth creationist, Bible literalist, homeschooling her kids because she doesn't want to hear about the nasty evolution, right? And so how old was I? Let me think about this. I'm probably about 50 at the time. She's maybe 10 years younger than me. And she tells me for the first time something I had never heard before, that before the fall, there was no death on this planet. And I'm going, you're shitting me, right?
Sorry, what?
There was no death on this planet. What are you talking about? I never got that out of the Bible at all. I don't know, what.
I never got that.
So this is this is why dinosaurs lived with people, because they didn't eat them. No animal ate any other animal. Apparently living plants aren't alive because they die too, but that doesn't count, I guess. Or, maybe insects don't count either.
So
I don't know. I don't know where you're going.
I'm confused. So things that are alive, they just were born and
well, God created them, and then they just would exist forever. There was no death.
Just existed in this homeostasis.
Yeah,
state.
I guess so. Everything was a plant.
I'm so confused.
Oh yeah, I was too. I could not believe this adult is telling me this. Where did you get this fairy tale and you believe this is the reality? So of course I'm like hemming and hawing. I've never heard this before. This is before I started listening to the ACA and call-in shows and whatever. It might have been before they existed. I don't know. So I didn't have this, this backlog of hearing other people make these comments. I never heard this before. And I go like, oh, what? The first thing that popped into my head
Ken Ham. Oh, No Death Before the Fall is Ken Ham nonsense. Oh.
So
it's Answers in Genesis bullshit. Oh my God.
Well, when was Answers in Genesis created? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so she says this, and my first thing, I always was fascinated by dinosaurs from being a kid. Wait a minute, why were all the carnivore dinosaurs, the theropods, the T-Rexes and Allosaurus and all them, why did they have giant teeth and legs they can run after? No, those teeth were for scraping trees so they can get the bark and eat the trees. Like, what? What the F?
But trees are alive.
Well, as I said, I guess plants don't count as alive. All right, my recollection is something about.
Do dinosaurs have souls?
Probably like the living breath. Probably if you don't breathe, you're not quote unquote alive according to the Bible. I don't know. But anyway, so then I knew enough about biology. I'm not a biologist, I'm an engineer, but still I said, carnivores' bodies are totally different, whether it's fish or land animals they're different than the prey animals. Like you look at bunnies and goats and their eyes are sideways because they're looking to see if anyone's sneaking up on them. You look at panthers and their eyes are forward because they want to have a good view of things and figure out how far away they are so they can get them in time, right? Are you telling me the eyes moved on the lions? Like, what are you talking about? Also, the whole digestive system is totally different. Like cows have multiple stomachs because the lions don't, because meat gets digested differently. So what are you telling me? The lion's biology used to be like a cow and then it changed? I don't get that. But no, yeah, God can do anything, Rod.
I have
God can do
I have so many questions.
The scary thing to me was she was master's of mathematics,
and she was
working
serious.
on
like she's
a government
dead on.
Government project of high importance. And so again, people sometimes say, well, these people are stupid. She's not stupid, right? And she's not the only person I met there like that. There was another person who was also engineering, I think PhD, and also young Earth creationists. Believe we had arguments about Noah's Ark and the flood all the time.
My brother is he has a PhD in engineering, believes it, and is a hardcore Catholic.
Yeah, but again, at least not
physics all day long.
At least not believing in the nonsense that is the Old Testament story. So I assume so. At least that's that. But
well, the thing is though that like he believes in like the resurrected Christ, but he thinks like astronomy. He thinks like astrology is bullshit, and because he understands how the stars move and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, okay, so you understand how like physics work, okay? Then, but you also believe that people can rise from the dead.
Yeah. So I'll ask you that question. I'll ask you that. I'll turn it around and let me interview you on the subject. Because I interview people. What was the last vestige of being a Christian or Catholic that you lost?
All right, one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what was the last doctrinal belief of being a Christian or Catholic that you lost? Because that was mine, right? I never believed in all that other old. Let me just say, I never believed in any of that Old Testament stuff, but I hung on to, because everyone around me believed that there has to be a God and there has to be Jesus. Why would they lie about that? So I wasn't sure if I believed. So where were you with like? How did you?
So no, for me, like I thought that when I thought about Jesus being resurrected, like because around the same time, like around between like 8 to 11 years old, I found out what CPR was. And I thought that's what the ancient Israelites did, but they just created a story around it. So that was like that. So like I reasoned my way into how that might happen when I was like between like 8 and 11. But what I didn't believe was that I couldn't believe in the virgin birth.
Oh,
that was the last thing. I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, because once you learn the reproductive cycle.
Letting my cat out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's fine.
So that's how old were you? Do you remember?
I was about like 17. like 17, 18,
Okay.
because I was really getting into like the cult stuff at that time. But like that was like like I tried. Like
Mm.
I was like, I'm going to be fucking Catholic because my mom would kill me. And I had a Catholic
Yeah.
wedding,
So
and I
again, it's
did
a
the
thing.
whole
Keep
thing,
trying to.
but
Yeah.
I wasn't buying into it anymore because I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Like it was
So
the social pressure.
here's the other doctrinal thing of specific Catholics, and people listening in the chat who don't talk about this might not know what I'm talking about with this word. How about transubstantiation? Did you buy that?
No, and that was the thing. Like we've had this conversation. We didn't buy it because
No.
like for like my family didn't buy it. They said it's all symbolic.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I always I never believed you even was supposed to believe that. I don't think I knew that was a doctrinal thing that was different for Catholics and Protestants. So it's like, who would believe that? It's like it's just like that was so silly to me. How could people believe that? It's like, no, you're silly.
Because even in the story, Jesus says, "This is my body. This is my blood." It's symbolic. It is not literal symbolism.
Everybody believes that, but the Catholics and maybe the or Eastern Orthodox. I'm not positive about that, but yeah. So the funny thing about this is, I did a once a week logical fallacy of the week series. I did 52 of them. Once I started, I couldn't stop, and I did 52 of them. This is before I became a skeptical activist. I just was putting them up at work on the bulletin board and causing trouble. Right? I'd list the logical fallacy name. I'd give the description, and then I give an example. The one that caused the most controversy was the one where it was no true Scotsman. And I describe what that is. So for people who don't know, you basically make a definition of a category so that you can exclude people that you don't like to fit in with, right? So the example I used was a little conversation, 3 or 4 lines between two Catholics about transubstantiation, right? Like Mary says to Jim, wow, I just found out my friend Sue doesn't believe that the host is really the body and blood of Christ. And then Bill says, oh well, that they have to believe that, or they're no true Catholic. So it's like that kind of thing. So I got pushback from both sides of that. Basically saying, well, that's not the no true Scotsman fallacy, because that is a definition of Catholicism, and you can't separate that. That was one point of view. And the other one was just about as many people saying, no Catholic believes that. And they would argue with each other.
Like it depends. I think it depends because like I think I wonder if it depends like what diocese you're a part of too, because like I grew up in New England, and it's fairly progressive, with its at the time of its thinking process. That because like even in my Catholic school, I was getting a well-rounded education, and then I got it. So that's the thing. It's like, there was no flat earth, there was no teaching. Like you had science and religion, you had English literature, and then you would learn about biblical literature like in Bible class. Like you could talk about, because it was about like you could teach the Bible as part of history, and you could teach it as part of your belief, but it had to be 2 separate classes,
Right.
because at the time they were trying to meet the state standards for education with the Catholic school. So because you still had to meet the state standard.
So I wonder if that's changed these days, because having joined Recovering from Religion and talking to people from all different faiths, I then learned that there's this charismatic Catholicism now that like developed in the last 30-ish, 40 years, maybe, well after I left the faith and stopped going to church.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like more like evangelical Christianity, where some of them do believe like the Bible is literal and things like that.
I wonder if that's the rise of the nationalism and the things that are going on. Because I can't, because again, if you're drowning, but I'm like, I don't think this is the best route for you guys. Like, I don't think this is the best one.
Yeah, I mean, people are clearly drawn to the more fundamentalist versions of the faith, and I think Catholicism, at least parts of it, got modified to keep the people in the pews. If you want to believe in, whatever, the Bible's literal true, okay, we'll go along with that. Rather than you leaving and going to the evangelical church next door. I mean, that might be part of that. I don't know.
So I have a question for you. So from all the times you've been doing, like from when you were wee lad and you first developed the skeptic brain to where you are now, what is probably the most bizarre claim you have ever heard that somebody was like, I I believe or believe that this was true?
I think it's some of the stuff I see on TikTok and Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels, whatever they're called these days. And it is the exorbitant number of people who at least claim that they believe that they are channeling aliens or are in fact aliens. And you know how algorithms work in these things. So I start investigating something, and then every
And it
fourth
just feeds me
video
the
is
shit.
one of these.
Yeah.
And it's and maybe
That's why I'm
I'm
afraid to
seeing
look up stuff, because I don't want my
yeah,
algorithm to get all
absolutely.
screwed up.
I know people who make fake accounts just to do that kind of stuff and don't look at it for
I might have to
anything.
do that. I might have to make a dummy
Yeah.
account.
But
Runley does
I've
that
never
for
been
his show.
smart enough
So
to do that. So, once I start looking into this, then that's all I see, and it's saddening to me. Some of these people are grifters, right? They're doing it for the clicks and likes, and they probably have a Patreon, but no doubt some of them believe it, and it is scary shit.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. It's
Yeah, I got
scary.
I think it was since we talked last. Yeah, when was I on? I think it was February.
February, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was after that. Yeah. So I was writing all about this subject, and that's when I was getting these social media posts pushed to me, and I was watching them, and I just can't believe this. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. So I had just met a new skeptic. I knew who was interested in the subject of UFOs, Coleman Watts. If you haven't had him on, you need to have him on.
I haven't had Coleman on. I had him on about like 2 months ago.
And did you talk about his red pill cult thing?
We talked a little bit about that, but then we talked about the Twin Flames cult, which was wild. Oh my God.
I don't know if I know about that one.
Oh my God. You have to look up the Twin Flames cult.
All right. Let's come back to that.
It's on Amazon.
I'm glad you know Coleman. So
yeah.
Interesting story about how Coleman got pulled into the whole skeptical movement, and that was because of me. It just worked out that way, which was really interesting. I saw a video of his, and he's got some background in theater and videography. So he makes amazing, high quality videos with all these special effects. That it's amazing to me one person does this. I do recordings, and it's just whatever Zoom gives me, and sometimes I'll put little images up or something, but he gets special effects, and he doubles himself, and he's got flashy stuff that looks like to me like a Hollywood team did it. So I was blown away by something he did about, I think the subject was UFOs. Oh yeah, it was John Oliver on This Week Tonight. I think that's the name of the show. Did something about UFOs. And he equally blamed skeptics and UFO believers as both being too fixed on their point of view. And Coleman took him to task for that. And it was great. Other people took that same thing, but it was in writing and articles, but this video was amazing. And so I contacted him, and they said, do you know about the skeptical movement? Because you didn't mention it on anything I've seen. And he goes, no, I'm not really plugged into that. And I said, well, I'm actually going to, I'd like to interview you, but I can't do it next week because I'm going to North Carolina to speak at a skeptical conference. And he said, I live in Carolina. And I got him invited to be a speaker. And that's the first time he ever spoke at a skeptical conference. And
that's cool.
He had been at SciCon, but was in the background. And now he's fairly well known because other people, Susan's interviewed him, and he's interviewed other people, and because of all that, he kind of got pulled into the community, which is really great. So I kept in touch with him, and when I was getting pushed to all of these channeling of aliens, and the aliens are about to land, and disclosures about to happen, I was sending him. And I knew it was annoying, but I was almost doing it on purpose. Here's another one, Colin. Here's another one. Here's another guy says this. Here's another guy. This is Rob. Stop. Oh my God, I'm going to have to do a video on this subject, which is really what I was hoping would happen. So we did one of his fantastic videos on it, and I was the guest. I was called in out of the blue as if I was channeling the Galactic Federation, and I was their agent on a spaceship. He's very clever.
I haven't watched that one. I'm going to watch that one.
With his writing, he's very clever. But anyway,
it's very funny because, the twin. He had just done a bunch of research on the Twin Flames, so we talked about that.
Tell me about the Twin Flames. I'm not.
Oh, okay. I have to pee first. and then I'll tell you about twin flames. But okay,
but what if I have to pee?
You can pee. We have to go to separate times. Do you have to pee?
It's been almost 2 hours. Yes, it's getting close.
Okay, you go pee. And listen, we're both gonna go. You're gonna go pee. I'm gonna go pee. Then I will tell you the story of the twin flames, and then you can give me your reaction. And then
1 or 2 minutes. Break. Go.
Right. So you go pee, and I'll talk. Okay. So, my friends, if you have not heard about the twin flames, I highly recommend. There's 2 documentaries. There's one on, I believe, Netflix. I think it's called Twin Flames. And then there's another documentary, I think it's on Amazon, called Leaving Twin Flames. And holy crap. Okay, listen, like, I love a cult. I do. Like, not in like I love, like, I want to be part one, unless I don't know what made me join a cult. I don't know, I'll figure something out. Anyway, what was I talking about? Anyway, so this cult. Oh boy. They convinced people to transition, which was the culmination of, like, what the fuckery I had ever seen. I was like, that is some shit. And these people are the worst. They're the worst people, like the absolute worst people. And I ended up finding the documentary because I think I had watched Shiny Happy People, and then the algorithm was like, Helen likes cults. So it started showing me cult stuff. So that's kind of where that happened. And it is wild. I'm going to tell, I'll tell about the whole thing when Rob gets back, and after I pee, because it's a story of how weird this cult is. It is. I got kicked off their message board on Reddit. So, because I was being being uppity, because I was trying to tell people, I was like, hey, this is a bunch of bullshit, it's not good for you, and I posted resources. So yeah, did I expect that? Yes. But did I try? Yes, because I'm hoping, like, at least a couple of people saw that, and maybe, like, if not like but soon would, like, contact, like, Recovering from Religion or some other resource, like, hey, here's the thing. All right, so I'm gonna go pee.
So what did I miss? Yeah, well, you can't say that.
No, I was talking up the cult thing because, like, I wanted people to, like, have, like, anticipation, but I have to pee. So I'm going to go do that. And then I'm going to talk about the twin flames because this is wild. You'll appreciate it. So I'll be right back. Yep.
So yeah, I'll spend a few minutes talking about the Guerrilla Skeptics, which we didn't really talk about.
You talk about that. I talk about the Guerrilla Skeptics when I go to the bathroom.
So if people are interested in getting more involved in skepticism, it is one of the best ways. And I'll tell you that from personal experience, as well as other people who are on this team now who have gone on to become very involved in skepticism. If I had not joined Guerrilla Skeptics and met Susan Gerbic and gone to conferences with her and got introduced to other people, I would not have a column for Skeptical Inquirer. I would also have not joined Recovering from Religion, because that led to that. Although it seems like it's disconnected, it kind of is not. I was then used to doing things publicly, so it seemed like a natural thing to do. That's one thing. And I know other people. Adrienne Hill is another name from the community, the skeptical community, who people might know. She is now a regular reporter. Every week she does segments on a podcast called The Skeptic Zone. It's the skeptical podcast from Australia, and she writes for Skeptical Inquirer, as I do. She is also a public speaker, and again, all of this started when she joined the Guerrilla Skeptics team. It's not an intention of that group to do that, but it's a way to get involved and meet other people in the skeptical community. If you're into that kind of thing, don't have to be. If you just want to do what the Guerrilla Skeptics do, that's fine also. And in fact, most people just do that. I didn't join with the intention of doing other things, but it just happened that way, as neither did Adrienne. So what the Guerrilla Skeptics nominally does is we work as a team to update articles on Wikipedia and write new articles to promote science and reason and skepticism. And we follow the rules of Wikipedia. We are vilified by people in the conspiracy theory world and pseudoscience world and the UFO believer world, because they believe that we have control of the whole encyclopedia and we go by our own rules and we break the rules to disparage people who like this. But no, we're following the rules of Wikipedia, because Susan Gerbic trains people individually on the team so they know what they're doing and following all the rules of Wikipedia and are honest about that kind of a thing. And the impact is amazing. Even if you do nothing but do Wikipedia once you join the team, you will be able to have such a huge impact. And the reason for this is Wikipedia is one of the most widely traversed websites in the world. And you can do articles for a couple of years, which then rank in literally millions of people having read them. My articles are in the 10 million something range. I haven't looked in a while. Of people that flabbergast me to think about 10 million people or so have read my work in some regard and perhaps been influenced by it. And to put that into perspective, if you were to sit down, I have a really good idea, let me write a book on some nonfiction topic. If you can Google this, what's the average sales for a nonfiction book? I'll let you think about that for a minute. What do you think that might be? Play the Jeopardy theme. It's under 4,000. 4,000. I'm talking to whoever's listening. So if you write a book, your average sales of the book is 4,000. 4,000.
For nonfiction book.
You do any nonfiction book. Of course, you might get lucky and hit it big, like some of these people. But what's the chances of that? You work on Wikipedia articles, you'll have millions of people that are influenced and educated by what you write. So we have a commercial that runs on YouTube occasionally somewhere, and I promoted it. I produced it and promoted it. And basically the tagline is, you'll be educating people in your sleep, right? So, because Wikipedia is open 24 hours a day, all the time, and people go there. So you're not going to probably get the people who are deep into a woo or a conspiracy theory, because they already believe for the reasons we talked about, and they're not going to want to come out of it. But it's a way to prevent people from falling into those traps and rabbit holes in the first place. Somebody might have heard something from a friend. I wonder if that's real. And then they Google it, and Google recommends up in the top Wikipedia. And if the Wikipedia article says that, psychic surgery is bullshit, it's more likely they're going to stop right there than if they find a psychic surgeon's site, which tells them, oh yeah, this is real. And, I'll do psychic surgery on you to cure your cancer. Anyway, that's my promotion for Guerrilla Skeptics on Wikipedia. If you're interested,
so Kelly wants to know.
Find Susan Gerbic. She's easy. I think there's only 2 people in the country with her name, and she's all over Facebook and YouTube.
So Kelly wants to know, do you have to have a degree?
No, anyone can edit Wikipedia. And in fact, if you're knowledgeable about a particular subject, that's good if you're generally writing about the subject, but you can't update your own bio or make an article or even contribute to the article about your own book or anything like that. It certainly helps if you're interested in editing one particular subject, but Wikipedia kind of frowns on people who do that. They like people who are there to improve the encyclopedia in general. And of course, everyone has interests. You might be interested in a certain sport or whatever, or some kind of sign, and that's fine. But you do need to show you're kind of a generalist. If you're only working on one article or one particular subject, like UFOs, it's like you're seen as a single purpose editor with an agenda in mind. And that's not what Wikipedia likes.
So they like you to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, a generalist. And Susan Gerbic is she got a sociology degree, which I think she says she's never used. And, she's a baby photographer for most of her career. And, she teaches people to edit this encyclopedia in all sorts of subjects. So, yeah, no, you don't have to have any kind of degree.
Also, Kelly should be on Recovering from Religion podcast. She is the leader of Detroit Black Non-Believers. So Kelly should be on RFRX.
Oh, so I think this is the Kelly that we had as part of a panel. And that definitely.
I might have that Kelly. Did you tell me that, Kelly, and I forgot? I might have forgotten. So okay. So let me tell you about Twin Flames. But I think I think that the Gorillas. Am I going to do that now? I don't, no. But if you want to go on Wikipedia and edit articles and make sure people are getting correct information like that, that's really cool. And you can like help people and do something positive in the world.
Yeah. And then, so one example is, I talked about the missing 401 conspiracy. Like when we first saw that article, somebody who was interested in that, probably a fan, wrote it, and everything was positive about this and David Paulides. And you read this with no skeptical mindset. You would just believe this was true, right? That people were, because it basically was the words of David Paulides and his books and his documentary were being quoted there, and there was no. No skepticism.
I gotcha.
But now you read the article and it's like, oh, okay, this guy also promoted Bigfoot and he did this and this and this. And then we interject. And here's the criticism from the other guy I told you about, Kyle Polich, who's a data analyst, saying, no, this is all bullshit, and this turns the view of the article to somebody who reads it. And this is why
she hasn't been on. She has been on.
Oh, okay. Not the Kelly I thought. All right.
Okay. So what you're going to do, Kelly, you're going to go to RFRX at recoveringfromreligion.org. And you're going to say, Helen was on with Rob and she sent me. That's what you're going to do. And says I should do a podcast.
Yeah, or attend one of the live sessions.
I am volunteering you.
So Kelly, if you're still listening, I'm not looking at the chat. So go on one of the live sessions. This Monday we have they're 8:00 Eastern time, 8 p.m. I'm always surprised when I say that and people think I mean 8 in the morning. Like, who's going to do that 8 in the morning? But I guess it could be possible.
No way.
8 p.m. Eastern time. We have a guest every week, and it's a live stream thing, which we're currently doing on Zoom, although that's going to change. And you can Zoom chat with the people who are in attendance, as well as the moderators and guests and the hosts. And you can mention that you're interested in coming on and that kind of. And so it would be the people who are on that day, including Kara. They are the primary social media. Programming, one responsible for programming.
Online programming director.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, so they would be the one to convince. Yes, and we're always looking for new people for sure. So, and this week, by the way, we didn't talk about this subject yet. I got into this in the last year or so. We have Robert Bartholomew, who is the world's expert in mass psychogenic illness and social panics and that kind of a thing.
What?
I've interviewed him couple of times regarding Havana syndrome and let's see, what else? The Iranian schoolgirl gas attacks, which happened a couple of years ago or so. And I interviewed him on those subjects and also about the drones, because he writes about UFOs and stuff. So I had a panel of 3 people, including him, which we talked about the drone invasion of New Jersey from December. Where'd they all go? I don't know.
Oh.
But that was such a big thing. Because they're here to take over.
That's so cool.
So he's going to be our guest, and we're going to be talking about. It's an interview. He's not giving a presentation. Some people like presentations, some like interviews. It's going to be an interview, just like today here with Helen, and we're going to ask him all about all the stuff he writes about. He's a social psychologist, and he will basically explain why people en masse believe wrong things, including Havana syndrome.
See, that's my shit. Because if I could go back to school, I would get my doctorate in social psychology. It's my favorite.
I think so instead perfect. Of engineering, although it scares me about how difficult it is to understand human beings, I think I would.
It is. I keep trying that because it's endless. That's why it's this rabbit hole I can tell you to follow in. Because I'm always trying to understand why you do that. I want to know. Okay. Kelly was on. So I am corrected. Kelly was on RFRX.
Oh, she was on. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So that's not Kelly. Yeah. So
I thought I recognized the last name, King. Yeah.
Yeah. Kelly and I met at the back cruise. And then and now we follow each other around.
Oh, and I think Kara said that they met her. That's why.
Oh yeah. I think at Dragon Con. I think.
Oh, you people
doing all
these fun things. Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Dragon Con.
I got invited to speak at Dragon Con 4 years
I want
ago.
to go so bad. I'm gonna have to go like at some point. A
I don't
bunch
think
of skeptics and cosplayers. Dream.
I don't think I ever told you this little story. You're familiar with Doctor Who fandom, I presume.
Yes, I am in the fandom. Thank you very much.
So,
types are cool.
and it will only be clear why I asked that question at the very end of my little story. So I was going to go to Dragon Con to speak live, to go there and show up in person. And then this was the second year of the pandemic, I believe. It seemed to be reasonably under control. And then we had one of the variants, which was rising very fast, especially in big cities. And since that was in Atlanta, just as on the holiday weekend, people were canceling left and right, including the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe and Steve Novella and whatever. And I trusted them. And if they thought it was too dangerous to go, I backed out. But the organizer, I was going to speak for the Skeptic track, which is science, communication, and skepticism. I was asked if I wanted to do it virtually. So, okay, I'll do that. Right, I could sit in my living room and do it on a social media platform, Zoom, I think it was, and that's fine. So I gave the talk, and it was a little awkward because they put the TV in a room or something, and I never got to see the room, right? Because then there was no camera for me to look at there. It was just me on the screen somewhere, and I was like asking, well, how many people came? Well, it was a little disappointing. And then I looked at the schedule, and if people don't know, Dragon Con is multiple parallel tracks. You have to pick out of like 20 things what you want to do, right? Do you want to go see the movie star from this show, or the person famous in the comic world, or the person who's the skeptic talking about the subject? So for my one and only time so far speaking at Dragon Con, I was up against Christopher Eccleston in a parallel track, who was the first modern Doctor, right? And it was also his first time coming out of the closet and discussing why he left Doctor Who. He had never gone to a conference or convention.
What?
Yeah. So do you think anybody went to hear Rob talk about psychics?
No. You're going to listen to
I would have gone to Christopher Eccleston talk.
Pretty man.
That's my Dragon Con talk. Discussion.
You meant David Tennant. Oh my God, Kelly. Like, I am 2 degrees from David Tennant. He is my favorite.
He's everybody's
favorite and everything. I ended up getting a fucking Encore account so I can watch him perform in Macbeth, and then I canceled it because that was the only thing I wanted to watch. I just wanted to watch him in Macbeth. It was amazing because it's my favorite Shakespeare play. I'm like, I'm spending money.
He is wonderful. And unlike Christopher Eccleston, he didn't leave in a huff and a quick turnaround. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. Okay, so I had to. Okay, that's nuts. That's so cool. Okay. Me and my oldest were telling me yesterday that like we have the Blu-ray of all the David Tennant seasons, and I'm like, we just have to watch that because it was so good. And Matt Smith, and I also like Capaldi. I really like Capaldi as the Doctor.
I had a little trouble with his accent. I've always had trouble with Scottish.
Yeah, they did, but him just as like So I feel like that could be explained though as like the Doctor. He's like, oh, I'm Scottish, and then he's like trying to get used to the accent.
I think they've gone through with the diversity a lot, but there's never an American. It's like it's always somebody from.
Well, do you really want an American?
Or somebody from Asia or something. No, it's
like, listen, they did women and black people. Like, hold on.
I have to ask you about the other David Tennant one, which I really love. Now it's escaping me. I'm having a senior moment. What is the DC series that was on streamed with not Daredevil, where David Tennant was the villain? Who can control people?
Oh, I'm Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. He was the best.
Oh my God, it was so. Oh my God, I was like, this is so good. It was so good.
That was one of the best villains.
That's what was the thing. I was like, this guy, because I had seen him in Who, Seaman who super adorable, great actor. But then I started watching him in other shit, and I was like, oh, like, and also because he was in Harry Potter, and then everything just tumbled into craziness. So there you go. Been a fan of him for 20 plus years, and also his, if you watch Good Omens, his kids play, he have
Oh,
you
I
watched
love
Good
Good
Omens?
Omens. I love that.
I like the fact that like his kids are played Job's family.
Oh, I did
So
not know
it was
that.
yeah, his kids played his family. So
Oh,
his
wait,
oldest played
are
Job's
they the
son.
ones that are killed, or the new ones that are created to make up for the dead kids?
He's the ones that are created and brought back, and they're just like it's so
Yeah,
great.
I forget about the other ones. You're good. You're a good replacement. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like I like that. They're like, I don't think you understand how human beings work. Like, so anyway, okay, I have to tell you about twin flames. I have to tell you about this. Okay, like I'm anxious now. I want to tell you about twin. Okay, so this cult is an online cult. Okay, and it basically started as these two millennials. This they're narcissists basically, and this guy that started the cult, he said that what he wanted basically to do this to make money, and it started as just a, you're going to meet your twin flame, which means there's one person in the entire universe that is just for you.
Oh, it's
Okay,
it's rebranding of Soulmate.
right, exactly. But it got weird. Got real weird. So basically there was they would do these workshops, and they always do this mirroring exercise. So like if I'm angry at you, like you do something to me, okay, you harm me and I'm angry at you, I'm not really angry at you, I'm angry at myself because I allowed you to make me angry, so it's really on me that I got angry, not you. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that was one of the things that they would do to do, like, do that course of control. So and then this way, if you weren't attracting your soulmate, your twin flame, it's your fault. And then what got weird is that then they started doing these online meetings. They started, like, there were Zoom meetings. This happened a lot during the pandemic. They started making like a lot of money during the pandemic, especially a little bit right after. Like it was bad. So this dude and his wife, they're telling their followers they're twin flames. And the thing is, though, is that it's mostly women that have joined this cult, because it's women that were attracted to the whole idea of like finding a soulmate. They were mostly young women in their like mid-20s, mid-20s, early 30s. There was a couple older women that were, they had been divorced, and or their spouse had passed away and they were trying to date again. They were into like the spiritual, like, new age movement too. Okay. So they weren't necessarily religious. Also, there was queer people involved. There was like trans people. So they were seemingly accepting of queer people. Then it got weird. It's already weird. Because so they have all these women. Okay. And a lot of these women want to meet men. They had convinced that it's not just like masculine and feminine, like, is like energy. It's just like they would tell people, you have a masculine energy. You need to reflect that energy. You need to be a man. So basically, they convince people to transition.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And like one person said, like, that was like, what, when that happened, like some people did leave because they were like, this is too much. Like one person, like, they were talking to their, like, just their mother, and their mother's like, I'm a boy now, and she like leans forward, she goes, Katie, really? Do you really think you're a boy? And then she sat there and she goes, no. And she goes, there you go. Like some people, like they're starting to get out, because like the thing is, though, is that and then they bought like this huge house. I forget where they live. I can't remember where they live, but they have this huge fucking house. There's two of them. They have no children. I think the house looks like it had 13 bedrooms, and it's something fucking ridiculous for 2 people. But the thing is, though, that they have their cult members come over and take care of their house, and it has a 3-page description on how to take care of your fucking dog. Like this is like, and these motherfuckers are doing like unboxings of like Rolexes on the internet. Like, it is bad. And the documentary, one of them, who's that cult expert, the female, I can't remember her name right now. She's not
coming.
She has a very unusual name, that's why I'm blanking on it, but she was in like a political cult, and now she helps people as they leave cults and does research on it. Like she's a cult sociologist, and when she helped these people like kind of deprogram from the cult. Thank you. Yeah, Janja Lilik. I emailed her to try to do a podcast for recovering from religion, and at the time she told me that she wasn't doing podcasts. So, okay, but she was on the documentary talking about like to these people about like what happens, and also to like how do you get like trying to get your family members out of the cult, and she's like, even if they ignore you, at least you showed up. And like, even if the cult members say you don't want them there, or like you should, it's gonna be hard, but you gotta, like, you have to show that you are present if it's safe. And I thought that was really cool. But it's a crazy cult, because I was like, and then like a bunch of people that were trans and like talking about like, this is really bad, because like if you're told that like in this discourse that being trans is somehow something that you're coerced to do, and then you got these motherfuckers making people transition, but also through that very heteronormative, because there's always a man and there's always a woman.
But they may have switched roles according to what they tell them. Interesting. So it's kind of like the reverse of gay conversion therapy, which doesn't work, and that probably doesn't work either.
Right.
Okay.
Nope. And because there were people that were obviously straight, like they wanted a straight relationship, and they're like, but you don't, you're not, like, they're like, I wanted someone that was, because like they weren't, because they knew them as female too, like they knew them as their cis presentation. And also too, think if you are trans and you have to unpack that, like you weren't ready to transition, but you feel comfortable, like, and then you have to unpack, like, well, am I really trans, or is it the cult? How do I parse that out? Like, that's gonna fuck with you.
So what was Coleman?
So bad.
Did you say Coleman was involved with this?
What?
Did you say that Coleman was involved with this?
Coleman, when I had him on my show a couple months ago, he just did a video on it. I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a personal involvement like the Red Pill cult, which you talked about with our.
No, he did a video, because when he was on my show,
so for people who don't know,
generally
his channel has got such good content, as I was mentioning before. His videos are so well researched.
He's so smart.
The technology that he uses is amazing. So his channel is named Think This Through, right? I always get it mixed up with Think That Through or Think It Through. Yeah, he jokingly said he wanted to name it Think It Through, but his wife told him that acronym wouldn't be good to do a YouTube channel with.
Yeah. I think it's Think It Through. I'm also getting this thing for this.
No, it's not it. It's definitely not it.
Family.
It is not.
It's definitely
not. Because that acronym. Yeah.
I found your interview with him. There you go. There it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not looking at the chat, so I don't know where you're posting things, but that's okay.
I know I'm pulling up the video. I had to pull up the video for what he did, because it was, oh my God, people. I'm still kind of like, what the freak?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I interviewed Coleman, as I mentioned the first time, when I found out after he did the video about John Oliver's show like being subpar, and I interviewed him all about stuff, but the fact that he was in a red pill cult when he was young never came up. And then then that came out as that's a big thing. So we had him talk about that on RFRX. I think Seth Andrews interviewed him about that. So he's made the rounds.
That's how I found out about him was Seth.
Yeah, it's quite interesting backstory that he had enough interesting stuff. We never even got to that.
Yeah, it is fat because I heard it on Seth and that he was going to be on RFRX, and I was like, oh, no, that's how I met him. Yeah, because we met. Yeah, I was still doing the podcast when he was on.
Right.
That's all right. That's how and then I asked him, I was like, you want to be on my show? Like I'm going to have Blotcher back on too. I'm going to have him on, but I have to figure out when. Because
he's a fantastic guest, of course, full of any possible subject you want to talk about because of his long-running show where he's covered so many topics.
I decided I think he's going to be on Monday. I think we're going to do the show on Monday, and I just want to talk to him about what he's been up to, leading the podcast, because he's a plethora of knowledge.
Oh yeah. I was talking about fanboying before. I think who was I talking about that for? Was it John Delancey? No, probably someone else. But that was really hard to talk to John Delancey and not Star Trek fanboy.
No, you fanboyed over Anthony Manabosco.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's when it came up. Yeah, well, yeah. All right. So the thing with John Delancey put him to shame. I'm interviewing Q. Oh my God, it's like, and we weren't talking about Star Trek because it was he was going to be a speaker at SciCon regarding humanism and his involvement in the that movement. So I was like, oh, it's so hard to not talk about Star Trek. But all right, here's a little bit of trivia on this. Not too many people know this. I interviewed John this was before I got into doing Zoom interviews. It was before the pandemic. And I recorded it on the phone, and then it was documented just as text. But I kept the recording going, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't use. But I did wind up talking to him about Star Trek after we got through the actual interview. I had to do it. Mm-hmm. And it was the time they were showing the premiere the trailers for Star Trek Picard. So that series was about to launch, right? Which is the one that is on Paramount Plus. It was behind a firewall, so not a lot of people saw it. So the first season of Picard's coming up, and I had seen the trailer, maybe the multiple trailers, and Q was not in it. How are you doing a Picard series without Q? Because that's what Q did. He just kept poking Picard year after year after year. Like, why are you doing it? So I couldn't help it, but I asked John Delancey, I said, are they just not showing it? Are you not going to be in this series? He says, oh, no, they're not going to have me in it. How? It's 40 years later. How are they going to explain a geriatric Q? Because he's an immortal being who just can take any form he wants, right? And I just thought about that, and I said, John, you could just, as Q, feel bad for Jean-Luc Picard, who's looking old, and you don't want to make him feel bad, so you make yourself look old too. And he said, oh, that's a great idea. But, they'll never go for it. And then season 2 comes out, and that's exactly what they fucking did. I didn't get any credit. I didn't get any money. I gave them the idea.
You're not Hollywood writer, Rob. But it's so great.
They did some of that. They did some of that de-aging.
Or maybe somebody in the right that was a writer had the same idea. So
sure.
No, you were the original. I'm sorry. You were the OG. I'm sorry.
I'm kicking that to my grave. So I actually have the audio recording of this discussion, so people can't say it didn't happen anyway. But yeah, so that's what they did for people who don't watch the series. Q appears as his younger self. They de-aged John Delancey, like looking 40 years younger, for a few minutes of a conversation, and then he says, this isn't right. And he snaps his fingers, and then he looks like himself when he's like about 75. Because that's how John Picard is now 80 something. So yeah. I'm sorry.
Scriptwriter Rob Palmer.
I'm still waiting for my freaking paycheck for that.
Thank you, Angier. Angier says you're a scriptwriter now. So, all right, I'm going. It is now 9:00. I want to go put on pajamas. But
Well, I already
I'm gonna
have
have you back.
on, but you can't see that. But okay.
I'm gonna go put on pajamas. So
all right, and I'm going to join Susan Garbick's trivia game.
I know, because you do it on. Is it now? Do I have to join? Can I put on pajamas if I join trivia?
It starts at 9:00. The session starts at 9:00, but then we just chat for a half hour, and the game usually starts 9:30 to 9:45 ish.
Okay, I will come. If you send me a link, I'll come.
But the thing is, don't join tonight. Susan is not. I was supposed to run it. My cat was sick, and I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to do this until I had to go to the ER with the cat yesterday. And it was one of those things. She might not be well in 24 hours. I'd have to go back. So I was all day hoping I didn't have to cancel this. But I already kind of canceled. Susan's not going to be there. She's traveling. I was supposed to run the trivia session. I told them I don't trust me to do it. Try to get somebody else. So I'm actually not sure what's going on tonight. But any other night would probably be better for you to join, especially with Susan.
All right, I will. All right, if you send me the link, I will show up.
I'm writing myself a note to do that.
Send Helen a link to trivia, because I think that'd be really fun. After my show, I think it'd be really great.
Yeah, and for other people who want to find it, again, touch base with Susan Gerbic on Facebook. It's open to everybody. It's a plethora of people. You mentioned Ross Blotcher. He played last couple of weeks in a row. The guy Kyle Polich, the podcaster, plays. Richard Saunders from Australia plays. Is like people that you might know from the internet, from the skeptical movement.
See that, and then that's how I get more guests.
That is exactly right. Yeah, networking. I even got Kara to play.
That's how I network. This is how I do this. And then I'm my charming self, and then I'm like, hey. I'll promote your stuff.
So my cat seems to be doing a lot better. We started on antibiotics before we left the
year. Good.
One day seems
to have better.
Reasonably turned it around, so I'm happy about that. So thanks for asking, Antiger.
Yeah, poor babies. All right, so you're gonna give the kitty cat a kiss for me and say like Ozzy's glad that you're not a sick kitty. So you can say that, and then
with you again, Helen.
All right. So where can people find you?
Yeah, you can either go to Skeptical, type Rob Palmer Skeptical Inquirer, and you'll get my column that way. But I'm also on the Linktree, which is weirdly it's .ee at the end of Linktree. I don't know why they do it like that. And the well-known Skeptic without a hyphen is my Linktree page, which has everything I do, including links to recovering from religion and that kind of thing.
Yep. So I put your Linktree in the doobly-doo. So it is in the description. So
all right. Thanks for having me on again. It was fun once again.
It was. Thank you so much for being on. So I am probably going to have Ross Blotcher on Monday. And then next Thursday, I'm going to have Martin Robert back on again, talking about, I know, probably some queer shit. So
I have to watch the Ross Blotcher ones. Maybe the other one too, but definitely Ross. It's
going to be Monday. I think
we went on a cruise together. I got to meet him again in person. We were on a cruise to the Bermuda Triangle, and you can ask him about that since we didn't get a chance to talk about the cruise to the Bermuda Triangle.
It's either going to be Monday or Wednesday. I will let you know. It's either going to be Monday or Wednesday. Okay. I'm thinking Monday because I couldn't do it Tuesday, and he said he has something Wednesday, so I think we're going to do Monday. So once I have the thumbnail made and shit, I will send you the link. So thank everybody for being here. I will see you all probably Monday. Probably high expectations. Okay, great expectations, I should say. Anyway. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. Leave a comment or don't. Also, again, I am a member. This channel is not certified by the Creator Accountability Network. So if you see some content on this channel that you're just not digging, and you think that it could be harmful to others, you please go report me. And we'll do some restorative justice to make things better for places on the internet, so you can do that. So anyway, so Creator Accountability Network.org, and if you have a channel, you should be certified. You should do that. Anyway, it's free. You take a course, you become certified, and then if people say something with you, they help you resolve it. It's a really great organization, all volunteer run. It's a 501c3. So do the thing. Okay, great. All right, everybody. I will see you here next week. Be kind, stay skeptical, give someone a compliment, and I will wish everyone adieu. Stay skeptic. Bye.